on World AIDS Day, Charlize Theron's Instagram account was taken over by a remarkable young South African activist, Nomonde Ngema. She's here today to talk about her mission to dispel HIV myths and stigma and to share her own experiences as a young person. From tackling misinformation to promoting inclusivity, Nomonde is a powerful voice in the fight against HIV and AIDS. Let's hear more about her inspiring work. All right, and she joins us now in studio to talk more about it. Nomonde, very good morning. Thanks for joining us. Welcome.
Morning. Thank you for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure. What really inspired you to become an HIV and AIDS activist, and what really drives your passion for this cause?
I think for me it was more or less the lack that I witnessed when I was a child, because I was born with HIV. So obviously when I was growing up, there were some things that I wanted to access in order to move from the stage of surviving to thriving. And so when those resources were not around, I thought one day I would just become that girl to make sure that those resources are available for other 16-year-olds. If there had to be books, there needs to be books, poetry books, things that we really like doing, TikToks, Instagram. I mean, TikTok wasn't there at that time, but like Instagram, just being there on social media and basically debunking stigma in a way, debunking myths and like destigmatizing in a way that was youthful, you know, that was youthful and fun and frenzy and cool, and in a way that would make me, you know, open to receiving that content. So last year, upon deciding that actually I'm okay, I decided that I will disclose my status online and I'll start this journey. And when I disclosed my status online, I received a lot of, you know, comments from other girls just like me, and that's what I wanted to do, right? And then upon that, I then wrote a book inspired by that. So because a lot of girls face what I faced daily, which is a lack of compassion and stigma, I then urged other girls on the internet, whether they were living with HIV or not, to write letters to those girls. And so they did, and I put that in the book, and I wrote poems. And basically what inspired me and what drives this passion is necessity. I don't do it because I'm just living with it. I do it because it's necessary that it's done, and also just because there's like an increasing rate of like new HIV infections, and it's mostly just young girls and women that are affected by that and infected by that. So for me, it's like I'm on both sides. Yes, I'm living with HIV, but I don't want to see other young girls taking pills every day as well.
And why do you think that's the case? Why are we seeing an increased level of new HIV infections? I mean, this battle against HIV is a very, very old battle. For decades, we've been fighting this scourge. So, and perhaps another part of my question would be, where are we in terms of tackling such stigma?
So I think misinformation, when people are also uneducated, also sometimes young people, we have this unwillingness to be informed, and we just want to keep ourselves boxed into the same mentality that isn't there anymore. And we don't sometimes want to progress, you know, we don't want to learn new information. So it's like sometimes they don't know that these preventative measures are there, and sometimes they know, but there's still, it's crazy because there's also stigma and myth that are surrounding prevention. And on another scale of it, when we look at like marginalized communities and stuff, a lot of people, in fact, not even just marginalized communities, but a lot of young girls and women are just vulnerable to HIV and AIDS. And it's not because maybe they are unfaithful or they're young, wild and free, but it's because there are really a lot of issues that leave them vulnerable to being infected with HIV, and that conversation is really not amplified enough, because it's so nice to just quickly jump on and just say, no, it's young girls, it's girls who have the highest HIV infection, while not really tackling what's happening in the background. So in terms of maybe just assisting somehow in this pandemic, there's like, obviously I think right now, prevention is our best bet. So as an advocate, I'm always just amplifying HIV prevention measures, methods. We have a ring, we have the oral pill, and unfortunately we have, but we can't access and afford the long-acting injectables. But if we could access and have them in South Africa or like in Africa, I do feel like that will solve like a lot of problems and a lot of issues that leave girls vulnerable.
And as part of your activism and advocacy work, I see that you're also working with South African actress Charlize Theron, and her Instagram account has a massive global following, I think in the region of 7 million followers, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
And you took over that account for a day. How did it work? Did she give you her login?
Firstly, I'd just like to say it was such an honor to have her highlight my story like that, to find me deserving and my story deserving to be amplified in that way. Because it wasn't just my story, it was the stories of all the girls that, you know, come to my DMs, the girls that I come across each day. So it was all those stories, and she decided, you know what, it deserves to be out there in the world. Those 7.6 million followers, they need to hear about how young girls are living with HIV, and it was just a beautiful experience. So in terms of how it worked, I worked closely with her team. So on my end, I would just prepare the content, and I had like concept of what I would like to share with her followers, because it's not just me posting pictures of me eating a pancake. I wanted to get a message across. So I first shared my story so that they can get to know me and what exactly we're doing together with Charlize. And then after that, my other video was basically upon how I found out and how I got into advocacy, what I do now, the work that I've done. I went to the UNGA, I went to the launch of the AIDS report in Geneva. It's just like highlighting those achievements, and then speaking about how people need to, you know, be more informed, compassionate, and just take the right path when it comes to addressing and, you know, just responding to people who are living with HIV, and talking about how it's mostly girls in sub-Saharan Africa who are disproportionately affected by HIV, and highlighting that as well.
And how does her work align with your activism and the kind of work that you do? And after that takeover, what's the level of response? I mean, taking over an account that has 7 million followers, I mean, it really is an effective way to disseminate your message, isn't it?
Yeah. So Charlize has an organization, CTAOP, and what she does there also is just basically what I do, but through her outreach project, she reaches young girls and women. She equips them with skills so that they can have like opportunities and skills in order for them to not fall vulnerable to the risk of HIV. She's also just championed and has been like a part of a lot of campaigns, like especially when it comes to like HIV treatment, HIV prevention, HIV testing. She's really championed that movement throughout her work. We see it. Can just also, you know, check out her page, her organization's page. She just highlights her work there, and it's just so beautiful.
And we can only hope that that working relationship with you and Charlize Theron will spark a greater understanding of, you know, advocacy work, activism, and anti-HIV activism, and that, you know, it'll allow us to work together, not only with celebrities, but work together as a community to fight this scourge. Thank you so much for joining us, and keep up the great work, hey?
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Well, that was Nomonde Ngema, a South African HIV and AIDS activist, sharing her story and empowering young women after taking over Charlize Theron's Instagram account.